Welcome to Breezing with Bierman, the podcast, a Princetonian Now production. If you like what you hear today, please subscribe to BWB, the podcast on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Princetonian Now Instagram, and many other places where great podcasts are sold. Our mission at Breezing with Bierman, the podcast, is to educate, inform, and entertain you, my people. This show has always been an alchemy of investigative reporting, documentary, eclectic opinions, and sometimes irreverent humor. Past guests have included actress Kathy Moriarty, Bei Ling, Barry Bostwick, Butch Patrick of Eddie Munster fame, political gurus like Cornel West, Steve Schmidt, Linda Lake, podcast master Mark Moran, and more on and on and on. With the time we have, I'm so excited to have today's guest. He's a specialist and a doctor in lifelong health, anti-aging, and regenerative medicine. My wife would like to meet you. She's 39 forever, though. He's dedicated to a holistic approach. He treats everything, the mind, the body, and the spirit. Please welcome our former neighbor, former Princeton High School classmate, and now on the left coast, the Dr. Dana Churchill. That's drdanachurchill.com. Salam alaikum. Welcome. Long time.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam. Thank you very much.
We will talk about Grover Park and when you were 30 years old and everything and how your life changed. But let's just go your journey. You said you were a selfish, hedonistic, empty person with zero self-esteem and failed relationships.
Pretty much, yeah. That was about, I guess, 30 to maybe 40. I started realizing that, and I had gone back to school for nutrition to find out why I was on 3 types of blood pressure medicine. I was sick all the time. I just felt horrible. So I went to Rutgers, and it took me a long time to get the courage to, really finish that. And I did. I ended up with a degree in nutritional biochem, a lot of science, a lot of pre-med, more or less. But I still, at that point, didn't know what I wanted to do. And someone said, well, there's these schools out west called naturopathic medicine. And I'd never heard of them. And I only found 2 of them. There's actually 7 in North America right now. And I found 2. And I liked what I saw. And I wanted to find, I still was trying to see what was wrong with me. I still didn't quite figure it out from doing the nutritional degree at Rutgers. I wanted more clinical, hands-on. And I decided I can work with people. Before that, I was doing more research-oriented things. So I found I kind of, at that point, I was on more of a spiritual journey. I really kind of gone to the church for a while, just searching around for, 30 years old, where's my life going? What am I doing? And I had figured out that, well, what happened was I wasn't totally sure about working with people at the time, like work clinically, because I'd been doing a lot of research. I had actually a research project at Rutgers. My mom got me in with one of her friends to do a neonatal research project on SIDS, the sudden infant crib death. So that was an amazing experience, really. I was with the graduate students, and I learned a lot about respiratory physiology and neuroanatomy and a lot of neural connections to respiration. It was hard. It was good. So then I said, okay. As I said, I was kind of on a spiritual path. I was trying to just follow the course of nature, not to tell the world, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that, because that was my whole life before in the restaurant business. And I got interviews with 2 schools. And in my mind, I'll probably get in one. I won't get in the other, and my path will be made for me. And that's exactly what happened. I interviewed with the 2 top naturopathic schools. One was in Oregon and one is in Washington State. And I got into the one in Oregon called the National University of Natural Medicine. Now they were a college and they got affiliated. They became a university now, accredited. So that was amazing. It was like the beginning of my healing journey, really beginning. It was a very powerful experience. So I did that.
For those who don't know, what's homeopathic mean, just for the layman's term?
Well, homeopathy is just one discipline. It's coined by Samuel Hahnemann like 1760, and it's been around for 300 years. It's using a little bit of energy to change the body in certain ways. A lot of different types of homeopathics. We have some from Germany. Hahnemann was, I think, Austrian, but Germany kind of started it. And it's very powerful medicine. I've been doing that for a while, but I've evolved. You evolve. I get bored easily. So over I've been practicing almost 15 years. So I started with that, and then I went into herbal medicine, then a lot of nutraceuticals. We know all the vitamins and minerals, herb, the combinations we have now. The companies are doing a lot of research. And then I got into peptides, and that came out. It's a pretty big thing. I still am. And then IVs, and then we're doing a lot of exosomes or stem cell treatments, regenerative medicine, GRP, ozone, a lot of ozone therapy. The West Coast is wide open now.
Right.
It's really a lot of it. Yeah, people are more educated with it. It's tough. The East Coast is still kind of in the dark ages with a lot of this stuff.
The uptight Northeast. But you also credited something very simple, but something you need to discipline: meditation. You said
Yeah.
that everything was under your nose. You just had to be consistent in the Falun Gong and
No, that's exactly what it was. In the Falun Gong completely changed my whole perspective on life. It got rid of my blood pressure medicine. It got my eyes better. I mean, it really is anti-aging. If you do it, you take it seriously. And I wasn't going anywhere fast at that point. And I just didn't know what to do. So one day my landlord gave me the book and the video, and I started practicing. And I was ADD, I was dyslexic, I guess I was having issues with that, but I still went to Rutgers.
I have to interrupt. Your mom, Bobby Churchill, who was a great chef. I actually told my mom we shouldn't have. I think I overheard them talking about you one time in my porch, and I had no idea that you were ADHD, you were this, you were dyslexic and everything, and I just thought you were a wild and crazy guy, which you kind of were, but.
Yeah, definitely back in high school days, and for 10 years after, we're still carrying on and running around New York like a nut and going to Europe. But those experiences afforded me a huge amount of knowledge and wealth and language.
There was some benefit to that too. It wasn't for a long life.
No, but it helped me get to where I am now, because I was definitely starting to crash, and I realized that lifestyle wasn't good for me anymore. I had to change. So I did make a pretty big change when I hit 30. But then let's speed it up. About 10 years later, in 2001, that's where the landlord gave me the book and the video for Falun Gong. I learned about the persecution, the horrible persecution that's been going on in China. And we just saw a movie last night that won 10 awards. I think I sent you the link to it. A very powerful film in Hollywood, in the Chinese theater right in Hollywood. I go there once in a while. Very, very amazing film. Not an easy film to watch, but it was very deep. It was about, I guess, a team of about 12 Falun Gong practitioners in China who split into two groups. They had special meeting places. It's not easy to do things in China. They can find out very easily. And they were going to break into the Chinese TV station, I think of which they have 2 channels, and it's all government controlled. And they were going to tell the world about Falun Gong because the government was slandering Falun Gong. They were trying to destroy it at the time.
Why are they so afraid of Falun Gong? I mean, I read their version and they say, you don't know, you Westerners, these are subversives, they're evil. Is that just their take?
It's almost the best spiritual practice to get the worst persecution. I mean, look at what happened to, Christianity, Judaism. It's just an amazing practice. And there was more people practicing than the Communist Party at one time. And they really would fill the parks. There's 80 to 100 million. They actually embraced it from 91 or 92 to 99. Jiang Zemin, the third president back, was the one that started the persecution. And he's a very evil person. He's psychotic, very sick man. He's the one that killed all the students in Tiananmen Square. And that time he was a senator, I guess equivalent to one of our senators. And then he became the president after that. Many people say because he did that bold act, that wonderful act. To them, I mean, I'm being facetious, but that's what they're looking for in their leaders, unfortunately.
Strong, patriarchal, strong man and everything.
Well, you just kill people. It just randomly. There's no regard for life in China. It's really crazy. I mean, they've been killing the Falun Gong for their organs, all their viable organs, since 2001. And I'm in a doctors group called the Doctors Against Forced Organ Harvesting, and we actually have a bill in Congress right now, Bill 6319, the Falun Gong Protection Act. So I'm going to go to DC in about a month and get more co-signers. We need to educate people about this. It's tough.
Do you ever fear any reprisal from the Chinese government? I know you're in California and everything, or
no, I've never had any calls. I mean, they try to interfere with our website once in a while. I have a great webmaster who knew right away what it was. Once in a while, they make some calls. I mean, but no, I've never had anything directly to me. No.
You must be a thorn in their side. I want to get back to the Falun Gong though, because I was telling people about you. So this changed your, really just being disciplined. I saw the tapes and everything, and I've started other tapes. Just being consistent, disciplined, moving your body, that changed your life. That changed your health.
Yeah. All I can say is that set of movements, whatever it is, Adam, opens up your energy channel so strongly and so fast that literally every day is kind of like, I mean, I don't want to say a cliche like a new life, but it is like the past days problems and everything else. If you seriously get up and you do the exercise every day, it will completely go away. It's almost like a clean slate every day. So and there's a book that we read, but there's a mind component. The other qigong, and which is like tai chi and things like that. It's Master Lee, Mr. Lee Hong Jo, so we call him Master Lee or Teacher Lee. His main book called Zhuan Falun, he talks about that there's a lot of other qigongs in China that came about, and they were, they're good, but they don't have a mind component. They don't have like the moral, heart nature, mind nature. Try to elevate yourself, try to give up your attachments to life and be a better person. And there's a lot of Buddhist tendency, just completely get out of yourself and just help others. And don't worry about yourself. Don't have attachments to disease. Don't have attachments to fear and anger and all this bad stuff, which I was completely fearful when I started. The world was a scary place by the time I hit like 30, 35, and I'd been partying for all those years. It was not easy. And I was so grateful to get something like this. I was searching for peace at the time. That's all I wanted in my life. It wasn't about money or marriage, or I wasn't married. It was actually searching to become peaceful and have, that in my life. So when I found this practice and I did the exercises at Grover Park, actually, that's where I started. I got that. And it was very fast. It was in a 2 or 3 months. And one day I was coming back from the practice site. I was driving up Harrison. I lived on the other side of Harrison. And I realized I always looked at this one sign when I came up to the top of the hill. I didn't have my glasses that day. And I needed my glasses to see, for distance. And I did. And I looked at the sign. It was completely clear. It was like amazing. Wow. And I started having these little epiphanies like that, noticing like little things. And my blood pressure went down. It was off the charts. Nothing could touch my blood pressure. I had handfuls of vitamins, minerals, herbs, 3 medications, exercise, diet.
You went to New York, the best doctors, the whole thing, right?
Yeah, I did. I went to Atkins. I did Atkins for like maybe a couple of years, and we couldn't get it down. The pressure could be anywhere from like 150 to 200, over 100 to 150. I mean, it could be morbid hypertension sometimes. And when I practiced this in like about 2 or 3 months, I could get off all my medication. My fear and anxiety hadn't completely gone away, but a lot had diminished. I could just be a regular person in society now. It was really amazing. It just changed my attitude.
Your friends noticed the difference in you? People noticed the difference?
Yeah, I think they did. Oh, yeah, they must have. I mean, I think they did, yeah.
What about the science part? You are a doctor. Now, is there the mind body? Now, do they have clinical trials that have proven this can change your brain neurons, your pathways, your chemistry?
Actually, because I was one of the only, there's only like 10 physicians in all of Falun Gong, and we need to kind of do our duty to explain to the world this is a good practice. It's getting slandered and trying to be destroyed by the Chinese government every day. So we take it upon ourselves to do that work. So the first thing I did, I looked at all the research that had been done, and there was great research that had been done at Baylor University by a woman. She was a PhD immunologist, and they took it was neutrophils, and they looked at the DNA, and they tested the people who were practicing Falun Gong for different years. And the control was just regular people who didn't practice Falun Gong, but they tried to match the years, at 80 compared to children, and they did a pretty good job. And what I saw in that, and what they saw, what they proved, and I have that research, is that those systems that repair the body, that are necessary to repair the sun damage, DNA damage, everything, they were pretty much inactive. Glutathione, all the things we use now, they were inactive. And they were really inactive. They weren't doing anything. But how could that be? These people were perfectly healthy and they were glowing with health. So it kind of, it slows metabolism down. That's even what Master Lee talks about in the book. You can slow down your metabolism. And I don't mean just like eating. I mean all cellular metabolism in your body. Wow. So it's
You're talking like fountain of youth stuff, though, on a cellular level in a way.
I mean, I haven't been the most diligent practitioner in the world, or maybe I'd be looking a little younger, but I have my friends of mine, some I came in with when I first moved to California, 2005, they really don't look much different than when I first saw them. And you can look at pictures too. It's not just, oh, I forgot. I mean, it really is. And it's a rig. If you do it seriously, if you take it seriously and you do what Master Lee asked you to do, which he's the master, so I really wanted to do it. It's not a simple practice. I mean, 100 million came in, but the rest of the world, people aren't really coming in after that. That's kind of like the number that can make it in. And it's a very high level Buddhist system. And I was ready. Luckily, I was ready. When the teacher comes, the student's ready. And that's exactly what happened to me. So I love it. I teach it wherever I can go. I do lectures on the organ harvesting. I talk to groups, Rotaries, whenever I can. I just, I learned when I turned my life kind of from a hedonistic more to a spiritual life. Someone told me once, he didn't tell me these exact words, but what I understood by what he said is whenever anybody asks you to do anything, like volunteer, mostly all volunteer, and it's going to help others, just say yes. That's all.
Well, you said your favorite quote is "the bitter suffering is the most precious." What does that really mean?
So if you are working on like certain, so where you're like working on anger or working anything, you're working on any of these maybe character defects that you have and you're trying to break through. And then, so all right, I'll give you a physical example. When we sit in the meditation double lotus, right? It's not easy to sit in double lotus. And in our book, it talks about the more your legs hurt, the more karma is coming out of your body. It's purifying your body. That's the way we purify the body. So if you can sit through the pain, when you finish, you just feel this massive euphoria and your body feels so light that like when you're walking upstairs or walking for long distances or doing anything strenuous, you don't feel it at all.
Wow.
You don't really get hot. You don't really get cold. Your internal system's completely regulated. It's really powerful stuff. And science could probably explain all this. I couldn't off the top of my head, and I don't want to. I love
No,
it.
you're doing a great job. Let's switch in the remaining time though. What is your it's very impressive. I went to your website. You have 3 different locations. What do you offer if someone comes to you? What do you ask them? And how do you do like a forensic, should I say, overview of what they're looking for and what they want and what you think they need?
Yeah, that's funny because I almost went into forensics. I wanted to get into FBI before I went into naturopathic medicine. So I wouldn't say forensics, but the diagnostic. So it depends what they want. All right. I do anti-aging, age management, but we also treat a lot of pathology, a lot of different types of pathology. So it depends how old you are and all that and kind of where you fit in. Because after a lot of years, you start to know the certain ailments that happen to certain age groups. I know. So I usually do an 80 marker blood panel. 80 markers, like 15 pages. So what I practice is functional medicine. You can look it up online. There's Functional Medicine Institute. There's A4M. There's a lot of universities teaching the MDs coming out of school now. I'm a naturopath, but I go more towards like a functional MD. That's what I've been doing for the last 5 years or so. So I would do that. I would ask a lot of questions. What are your symptoms? And so there's major categories of heavy metal toxicity, mold, fungus, bacteria, virus, Lyme disease, all the different things. Then there'll be chemicals, toxins, and maybe a couple other things. But that would cover the gambit that we see typically. And anybody can have one or literally all of those, depending on how they live their life. And, a lot of it, and some people even throw vaccinations in there. They say that hurts the immune system. Others, there's huge proponents against that, but I've seen a lot of issues with vaccinations. I really have. I treat autistic kids. And if it's controversial, but if you look at Robert Kennedy's website, he's doing a lot of really amazing work. Del Bigtree has actually had lawsuits granted in the favor of the children from drug companies and from big pharma and FDA. They won't report any of it. So there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes people don't know. So, but I don't care about that. I just treat whoever comes in front of me. I try to give them the best possible treatment and all my knowledge. Focus on them every time, and that's what we've been doing. A lot of IV therapy too, like a Myers cocktail. We have a 19 nutrient Myers, so 6 amino acids, 6 B vitamins, 6 minerals, and then like 5 to 10 grams of vitamin C, and that's powerful when you have 20 nutrients in high dose like that. People love that. All different things.
And you have to be somewhat of a psychologist too. I guess some people come in saying they want to change, but they don't go forward to change.
Yeah. Well, my first love was homeopathy, which you picked up on. You did a lot of good research, I know, because you can see the things I was doing. When I first went to school, I saw a video of a professor just came in. He was one of the top homeopaths in the world, Will Taylor, and he showed a video of this guy who had a heroin addiction, right? And literally through homeopathy, they changed that. And I'm not going to say they cured addiction, but for the time that they showed the videos, it was like a 10-year span. He was completely normal. He was a normal tax-paying working American, got married. I mean, he wasn't nothing like you would think, and didn't do any more heroin. He quit all that. So that was one of my first classes. And I saw homeopathy, how powerful it was. If it could do that, it could do anything. So I really studied it a lot. And that to find the homeopathic remedy, you got to know your patient like better than they know themselves.
Yeah, I would imagine. You have to get into their mind. Now we're going to go to voices from the crowd. This is local Princetonians because I told them I was talking to you. Some people actually remembered you. Do you ask simple questions like, what do you eat? which I remember a lot of doctors would
Yeah,
never. My dad did as a doctor. He was like a rebel because he asked people, "What do you eat?" You
he
know,
was
which
great.
actually
Yeah.
makes so much sense.
Of course, we go, diet is huge, man. It's like, your lifestyle. That's lifestyle change. Is diet, what you're drinking. Are you drinking alcohol? Are you smoking pot? I mean, I ask that. I don't always get straight answers, but I mean, and I could tell if the labs look really funny. Like we had this one guy this week, and, I didn't know, but then my wife said, well, his mom says he drinks a lot. And, so I went back to him. He's a young guy. He goes, yeah, once a week I drink a lot. Like, how much is that? Like, 20 drinks? And he thought like once a week was okay, but his labs are all skewed. His liver enzymes are going up. He's only like 25 years old. So there was something weird. You can always tell by the labs. So
Right.
yeah,
You've seen this before.
diet's huge. We do it a lot with diet. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember in the 70s and 80s, no doctors like my dad did, but a lot of they wouldn't ask you these simple questions. Oh, here's another one. And again, I'm just answering the questions.
Mhm.
Dr. Dana, your website, you seem very successful. Can't you, this is what he wrote, can your morals be corrupted by your quest for financial and or material gain as you grow your practice? Whatever that, well, I guess he's saying, can
That
you
is
lose
a
your way?
really great question. And I'm going to say at this point, because I practiced Falun Gong for over 22 years diligently every day, no. But it definitely, I've had maybe little glimpses of that as the years of I've been practicing, and I had to catch myself, and I would fix that, and I would realize in my teaching I would go back and read, and it would go. It's an attachment. It's basically an attachment to anything material. And I'm not saying I'm not attached to everything material on the earth, because I'm not that high level, but I've given up a lot of stuff. Right? It just doesn't really bother me. It doesn't really I mean, I want my business to be successful. We just went through all this. We have to pay the bills, and some things were happening. We weren't that busy, and the busyness is coming from me. It's coming from my practice. It's not coming from the economy. I don't believe that. I believe the energy we cultivate, how we put it out there, really is like feng shui. Is your business flowing? Is everything flowing? Are you doing what's right? Are you really doing? Are you paying everybody? You're paying your taxes. I mean, everything you're supposed to do. Don't worry about how much you're paying, because if you do it all right and you have a product that people like, you can make money. And just worry about it's hard to explain that, but that's kind of the
No, I
philosophy.
understand what you're saying though too. And then the business will take care of itself.
Exactly. Yeah. In the beginning, I paid the business, and then all these coaches were saying, no, let the business pay you. But I couldn't understand that for so long. It took me like 10 years, and I lost the business. So you learn.
Right, and you move on.
Yeah.
You look tired today, but I'm sure you're in great. Again, it's 9 o'clock. It's almost 9:30 here on the East Coast. Before you go,
Okay.
please promote yourself. How can people contact you, reach you? Your website again, it's
Sure.
drdanachurchill.com.
No. Let me change that. Let me change that, because there's two websites. The newer one's the churchillcenter.com.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Churchill Center. That's right.
The Churchill Center. Yeah, it's a much more nicer. We did that just in the last year. The other one's probably 5 or 6 years old, and everything's on there. All the numbers. I do Zoom consultations all over the country, and I can get you. There are people doing IVs in Princeton. Even in Princeton, there's like getting to be more, more successful and more inventive. So there are definitely MDs over there. I think DOs. And there's places you can get IVs, so I could always refer you there. And it's just, there's Hopewell Pharmacy. I'm still using Hopewell Pharmacy for a lot of compounding. Really? Yeah, my mom, she's doing great. We have her on. She probably doesn't want to talk about her, but she's doing really great. And I've been helping her with Hopewell Pharmacy. Has been working, and yeah, it's great. And if you need information, I mean, I can refer you to the American Association of Naturopathic Doctors. And that has a lot of doctors on their website, and they could help you with New Jersey. New Jersey isn't a licensed state yet. I believe we have 18 licensed states in the country right now. So we're growing every year. We're growing maybe by 1 or 2. New York's been a real tough holdout. We're trying to get New York, and I think they'll go eventually. It's just been really tough. And when California went, that was really great. I mean, that's a huge one. And so it's amazing practice. It really, I mean, you have choices. You don't have to do the drug companies are out of control right now. They're really out of control. The drugs for chronic illness don't work very well, and they'll make you worse. I usually have to get people off those, a lot of them or all of them, and we replace them with natural things. We do a lot of labs. We're very careful. I mean, if I can't, I don't. I'm careful, and I refer to cardiologists. I have urologists. I work with a lot of MDs. I'm not afraid to talk to them. Now, after 15 years, I can talk their language. I know what's going on. So, yeah. So if you need any
You're saying the pharmaceutical companies are kind of drug peddling for profit and obscuring their drugs, how they work?
I don't want to get into it, but I'm just going to say, just be careful and just know, I mean, know who your doctor is and know if he's going to be true to you, be true to himself, or if he's kind of just maybe on the bandwagon doing what he thinks is right, but really he doesn't understand, or he's just basically making money. You got to be careful because there definitely is conflict of interest. There can be, I've seen it in other things, and just got to be careful. That's all. But I can give second opinion on almost anything. I've worked in a lot of good, really good. I worked at the Princeton Bio Center when I first started my journey when I was sick. Before I went to I was just starting at Rutgers, and Dr. Newbrander helped me so much then. Dr. Camo. It was an amazing experience. So I learned from those guys. They had started that with Hoffer, and the vitamins, Linus Pauling and Hoffer. They were doing orthomolecular.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, well, they were doing orthomolecular medicine there. That was Carl Pfeiffer, MD, PhD. They were way out of their league. They were so far before their time. It was amazing. And we're still using a lot of their tests. And he had tests that people didn't even know what they were. He was taking schizophrenics and really serious organic pathology and getting them back into the workforce. I mean, which no one's ever been able to do. So very
With all that said, final question before we bow out. Final question is, Dr. Danny Churchill, you seem spiritual, you seem grounded. I'm depressed right now. I'm going through bad things in my own personal life, and then I get too affected by the turmoil of the outside world. Any words of advice to lighten my day? That's a lot to ask to another human being. That's what he asked.
Take a news break. Don't believe the news. A lot of it is just hype. It's all political. It's politicized now. It's trying to make people fearful. If your internal locus isn't fearful, that stuff will usually melt away. I'm telling you. And you can read Epoch Times, the Epoch Times. They've done a really good job. Yeah, I believe Epoch was a little bit on the right side, but I think they're starting to realize they had great articles, a little bit too right for some people, but they actually started saying that Biden's doing some things right, which was really shocking to me. I know those guys. I talked to them. They're like, yeah, we need to be right in the middle. We did possibly go a little bit to the right. We want to try to stay right in the middle. So Epoch's a really great paper. We got a lot of good news. It's just trying to get into meditation, some kind of Tai Chi, some kind of Asian, movement every day. And, if you need a therapist, that's fine. There's no shame in that. Talk to people, talk about it,
Well, Dr. Dana Churchill, thank you very much. It's been invigorating. We could talk forever, and I've enjoyed this. And then again, you could be reaching at thechurchillcenter.com.
TheChurchillCenter.com. Yeah, the email is easy. drdana707@gmail. DRDANA 707. And I'll be back in July for a week, so maybe we can catch up, Adam. I'd love to see you.
Catch up from this interview. That'd be great. Well, this has been Breezing with Bierman, the podcast, and we'll be right back.